Welcome to a deep dive into something really, really ancient and pretty fascinating. You know how yin and yang is always like a hot topic?
Yeah.
Well, today we're going to go way beyond just the basics. We're exploring how this ancient Chinese concept connects to your body, the sun and moon,
Right.
even the calendar. And get this, our source is over 2,000 years old.
Yeah. We're diving into the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like the foundational text in traditional Chinese medicine.
Wow.
You can think of it as like a dialogue between this mythical Yellow Emperor and his physician, Qi Bo.
Okay, so we're not talking about like WebMD here.
Yeah,
This is ancient wisdom.
Right.
And for this deep dive, we're going to zero in on chapter 41. It's called The Spiritual Pivot.
And it's such a fitting title, The Spiritual Pivot, because this chapter is all about how these huge cosmic forces, yin and yang,
Okay.
play out within each of us. It's kind of like a blueprint
Wow.
for how the universe is reflected in the human body.
All right, you got me. I'm ready to have my mind blown.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin with this whole like cosmic connection?
Well, the text starts off with a pretty bold statement
Okay.
that says the upper body, it's like heaven, full of yang energy, to the lower body,
Yeah.
that's earth, representing yin.
So wait, are you saying that my waistline is basically like a cosmic dividing line? That's kind of a crazy thought.
It is. And, this idea of the body as like a microcosm of the universe is really, really central to traditional Chinese medicine.
Okay.
It's not just about like physical anatomy. It's about understanding the energetic flows and the connections within us.
So how does this whole upper body, lower body, sun, moon thing actually work? Like, does the text get into specifics about it?
It totally does. It links specific meridians, those pathways that carry qi or vital energy
Right.
to different months of the year, and even to the celestial days. Those
Yeah.
10-day cycles in the Chinese calendar.
Okay, wait. So you're saying that each part of my body is like synced up with a specific time period?
That's the idea. So imagine like your fingers reaching up towards the heavens. They're connected to the celestial days, the energy of the sun. But your legs, they're rooted down here on Earth. They follow the moon's rhythm.
Okay, this is where I need like a little more explanation.
Sure.
What exactly are meridians? I've heard the term, but I'm a little fuzzy on like all the details.
So think of meridians like a network of rivers
Okay.
flowing through
Yeah.
your body,
Yeah.
carrying this vital energy to every single cell and organ.
Okay.
In traditional Chinese medicine, these pathways are key to understanding how energy moves and also how it can become blocked,
Right.
which can then lead to imbalances
Yeah.
and even illness.
So the text is saying that these meridians are not only like connected to different parts of the body,
Yeah,
but also to different times of the year.
exactly.
How does that even make sense?
It's all about understanding the ebb and flow
Oh.
of yin and yang.
Mm.
Throughout the year,
Mhm.
remember, these forces, they're not static.
Right.
They're constantly like interacting, waxing and waning, just like the cycles of the sun and moon.
So are you saying there's certain times of year when certain meridians are more like active than others?
Exactly. And this is where it starts to get really, really interesting. From a practical perspective,
Okay.
this understanding can be applied to things like acupuncture.
Oh, interesting.
The text actually gives advice about when you should avoid needling certain meridians based on the time of year.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's fascinating. Why would you avoid needling certain meridians at certain times?
Well, according to the text, needling a meridian at the wrong time could actually disrupt the body's natural energy flow. So, for example, if a meridian is already at its peak energy during a certain season,
Yeah.
stimulating it further could actually create an imbalance.
Oh, okay.
It's all about working with the body's natural rhythms,
Yeah.
not against them.
So it's like if you have a fire that's already like blazing,
Exactly.
you don't want to add more wood to it.
You got it.
You could have a problem.
Exactly. It's all about finding that sweet spot,
Yeah.
that balance between yin and yang, both inside the body and in its relationship to the external world.
All right. So we've got this upper body, lower body thing.
Right.
And now we're seeing how meridians are like tied to specific times of year. Seems like yin and yang are popping up everywhere in this text.
You're absolutely right. And this concept of duality, it extends beyond just the physical layout of the body.
Okay.
It goes even deeper, right into our internal organs.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about how yin and yang play out with our organs.
Well, just like the upper and lower body have their designated energies,
Right.
so do the internal organs. Each organ is categorized as either primarily yin or primarily yang,
Okay.
reflecting its function and its energetic nature.
So give me an example. What would be considered like a super yang organ?
Okay, think about the heart,
Mm-hmm.
constantly beating, pumping blood and warmth throughout the body.
Right.
It's this powerful engine full of fiery energy, just a perfect representation of yang.
Yeah, that makes sense. So then what about like the opposite? What would be a super yin organ?
Think about the kidneys. Deep inside the body, they're working quietly to filter waste and store vital energy.
Mm-hmm.
They're associated with water,
Okay.
which embodies yin's more receptive and nourishing qualities.
Interesting. So even within this framework of yin and yang, there are different like levels of intensity.
Yeah.
The heart is like the ultimate expression of yang energy,
Yeah,
while the kidneys embody yin's more subtle power.
exactly. And understanding these nuances is crucial in traditional Chinese medicine.
Okay.
It helps practitioners diagnose imbalances and tailor treatments to restore harmony in the body.
So it's not just about like slapping a yin or yang label on something.
No.
It's about understanding the subtle interplay of these forces and how they
Absolutely.
manifest in different ways.
Precisely. And the text actually goes even deeper than that. It explores how different organs are actually interconnected
Wow.
based on their yin and yang qualities. It's a complex and fascinating system
Yeah.
that we'll delve into further in the next part of our deep dive.
All right. I'm already hooked. We've gone from the cosmos down to our organs.
know.
And it's clear that this ancient text has a lot to teach us about how our bodies work and how we fit into like the larger scheme of things.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There's much more to uncover in the spiritual pivot.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to continue exploring these ideas with you.
Awesome. Okay, so in the first part of our deep dive, we were talking about how this ancient text, the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine, views the body as like this incredible microcosm of the universe,
Yeah.
with yin and yang playing out everywhere, from our organs to the calendar.
It's a really powerful idea.
It really is. But I have to admit, I'm still a little bit hazy on how the meridians actually connect to specific time periods.
Okay.
The text mentions months and even those 10-day cycles that you called celestial days, right?
Right. Yeah.
Can we like unpack that a little more?
Absolutely. It's one of the most fascinating parts of this chapter. It lays out this detailed system of correspondences,
Okay.
almost like a map
Okay.
between the body's energy pathways and these larger cycles of time.
Okay. I love a good map analogy. So how does it work? Like, walk me through it.
Okay, so let's start with the legs.
Okay.
The text links the left foot Xiaoyang meridian to the first month of the year, a time when yang energy is said to be reborn after the quiet of winter.
Okay. So the left leg, which is on the yin side of the body, is connected to this surge of yang energy at the start of the year. That's interesting.
Exactly. And then if we follow the cycle, the right foot Xiaoyang meridian, remember the right side of the body is yang,
Right.
is linked to the 6th month, when yang energy is at its peak.
So it's like each leg is taking turns reflecting the sun's journey throughout the year.
Yeah,
Each side echoing a different phase of that cycle.
that's a great way to visualize it. And this pattern continues with other meridians in the legs. The left foot Taiyang meridian is associated with the 2nd month, while the right foot Taiyang is linked to the 5th month,
Okay.
and so on.
Okay, I'm starting to see the pattern here. Left side, then right side, each connected to a specific time of year.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the hands? They're part of the upper body, the yang domain, right?
Right.
So how do they fit into this system?
The hands are where those celestial days come into play.
Okay.
Each finger is associated with one of these 10-day cycles, representing a unique quality of yang energy.
So it's like my fingers are dancing to a different,
Yeah.
more intricate rhythm
Yeah.
than my toes.
Exactly.
Fascinating. This ancient text is almost like a secret code to
Yeah.
understanding the body's connection to the universe.
It really is a complex,
Yeah.
beautiful system that invites us to think about the interconnectedness of everything,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't stop there.
Really?
We've talked about the legs and hands, but what about the organs? They also have their own
Yeah.
unique relationship to yin and yang.
Right. We touched on this earlier with the heart and kidneys, but I'm guessing it gets like more nuanced than just saying one organ is yin and another is yang.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
It's not that simple. Remember, nothing is purely yin or yang.
Right.
It's all about balance
Mhm.
and relationship.
Yeah.
Even within the upper body, which we associate with yang,
Mm.
there are varying degrees of yin and yang within the organs themselves.
Okay, so give me an example of how this plays out.
Okay, so the text describes the heart as the taiyang of yang,
Okay.
meaning it's the most intensely yang organ.
Which makes sense. It's like the engine of the body constantly moving and generating heat.
Right.
But what about the lungs? They're also in the upper body, so they
Mhm.
must be pretty yang too, right?
They are considered yang because of their location,
Mm-hmm.
but they represent a more like subdued
Okay.
yin aspect
Right.
within that yang domain. The text calls them the Shayin of yang.
So it's like a spectrum. Yeah.
Within the yang category,
Exactly.
with the heart at the extreme end
Mhm.
and the lungs somewhere in the middle. Still yang, but with more yin qualities.
Precisely. And this pattern continues with the other organs. The liver, for example,
Yeah.
resides in the lower body, which is yin territory.
Right.
But it has more like active
Yeah.
yang-like qualities. It's
Yeah.
described as the Shaoyang of yin.
So the liver's like the life of the party down in the yin zone.
You could say that. It's all about that smooth flow of qi.
Yeah.
A very yang function.
Right.
Then you have the spleen,
Yeah.
tucked away in the lower abdomen.
Mhm.
The text calls it the deepest yin,
Wow.
embodying yin's nourishing and grounding qualities.
And the kidneys, as we talked about before, are the tie-in of yin.
Yes.
The most profoundly yin aspect of the body.
Exactly.
Wow.
All these organs, with their varying degrees of yin and yang, work together to create this dynamic equilibrium,
Yeah.
a delicate dance that keeps the body functioning in harmony.
Right.
This is giving me a whole new appreciation for how complex the body is. It's not just like a collection of parts.
Right.
It's like an intricate ecosystem where everything is interconnected and influencing everything else.
And that's one of the key insights of traditional Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
It's not just about treating symptoms.
Right.
It's about understanding the underlying patterns of disharmony
Mhm.
and restoring balance to the whole system.
Okay, so we've covered how different parts of the body are linked to specific time periods.
Right.
And how the organs themselves have varying degrees of yin and yang.
Mm-hmm.
But how does all this actually get applied in practice?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It brings us back to the advice about avoiding needling certain meridians
Right.
at specific times of the year.
Right. I'm still curious about why the text makes those recommendations. It seems kind of counterintuitive
Yeah.
to avoid treating a part of the body when it might be experiencing an issue.
Well, remember, it's all about maintaining that delicate balance of yin and yang.
Right.
So if a meridian is already at its energetic peak during a certain season,
Yeah.
stimulating it further could actually throw things off balance,
Right.
like adding fuel
Yeah.
to an already roaring fire.
Okay, so it's not about, like, neglecting a problem.
No.
It's about working with the body's natural rhythms
Exactly.
to promote healing.
Exactly. So, for example, during the first 3 months of the year,
Oh, okay.
when yang energy is rising and moving towards its summer peak,
Mm-hmm.
the text advises against needling the yang meridians of the left leg.
And that's because the left side of the body is associated with yin, so adding more yang stimulation could create an imbalance.
Precisely. It could push the body too far in one direction.
Okay.
The text offers similar guidance for each 3-month period, outlining which meridians to avoid needling based on the dominant energy of that season.
It's like a seasonal guide to acupuncture,
Yeah.
designed to work in harmony with nature's cycles.
Exactly. It emphasizes that context is everything. It's not just about the individual patient.
Mm-hmm.
It's also about the time of year
Right.
and the larger forces at play.
This is incredible. It's like ancient wisdom meeting modern, like, holistic healthcare.
I know, it's fascinating.
But there's one more thing I'm still wrestling with.
Okay.
Earlier, you mentioned that the text works with, like, multiple layers of symbolic correspondence, and that there isn't always a simple one-to-one mapping between different concepts.
Yeah.
Can you, like, elaborate on that?
Well, of course, you're actually picking up on a point that the Yellow Emperor himself brings up in the text.
Oh, really?
He asks Chibo
Mm-hmm.
about a specific discrepancy that he noticed,
Okay.
a place where things don't quite line up.
So even the Yellow Emperor was confused by this stuff.
He was.
That makes me feel a little better. What was it that he found confusing?
So he noticed that the text associates the first month of the year
Mm-hmm.
with the left foot Shaoyang meridian,
Okay.
which is governed by the celestial stem Jia.
Okay, I'm following so far.
But in the 5 elements system,
Right.
another key framework in traditional Chinese medicine, Jia, is associated with wood,
Okay.
which is the element of spring.
Mm-hmm.
And spring is typically linked to the liver,
Right.
which is associated with the foot wine meridian, not the Shaoyang.
Ah, I see. So the element associated with spring doesn't seem to match up with the meridian assigned to the first month. That is confusing.
It is, yeah.
What's the explanation?
Well, Chibo explains that this chapter is primarily focused on the interplay of yin and yang as they relate to heaven and earth.
Okay.
It's not specifically about the 5 elements and how they cycle through the seasons.
So it's like we're looking at 2 different maps,
Yeah.
each with its own set of, like, landmarks
Right.
and relationships.
That's a great way to think about it. And this highlights that even within traditional Chinese medicine,
Yeah.
there are different layers of interpretation
Mm-hmm.
and application.
Okay.
It's not a one-size-fits-all system.
So it's not as simple as saying this element always corresponds to this meridian.
Right.
Or this time of year always means we need to treat this part of the body.
Right.
It's about understanding the specific context.
Yes.
And the principles at play.
Exactly. And this is why studying these ancient texts is so enriching. They challenge us to think critically and to appreciate the nuances of these complex systems.
I'm starting to realize that this deep dive is really living up to its name.
Yeah.
We're going deeper and deeper into these concepts, and with each layer we uncover, more questions emerge. It's fascinating.
And that's the beauty of learning.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing journey of exploration and discovery.
Absolutely.
But before we get too carried away with our exploration,
Yeah.
I think it's time to address the elephant,
Okay.
or maybe I should say the dragon in the room.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we've been talking about these intricate connections between the body, the seasons, the cosmos.
Right.
But there's a big question that often comes up.
Yeah.
How much of this is actually, well, real?
Ah, the age-old question. Does ancient wisdom hold up to modern scientific scrutiny?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a valid question.
Mm-hmm.
After all, we live in a world where we can see inside the body with amazing technology
Yeah.
and measure things in ways that the ancient Chinese could never have imagined.
Right.
So how do we reconcile these ancient ideas
Yeah.
with our modern understanding of the body?
That's a big one.
It's a complex issue, and there are different perspectives on it.
Okay.
Some people believe that traditional Chinese medicine, with its focus on energy and meridians, is simply like a pre-scientific system
Okay.
that's been superseded by modern medicine.
So they're basically saying it's outdated and irrelevant.
That's one view.
Okay.
But others argue that while we may not be able to measure qi
Right.
or see meridians with our current technology,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean they don't exist.
It's like the argument about dark matter in physics.
Right.
We can't see it directly,
Yeah,
but we can observe its effects.
exactly. And there's growing evidence that practices like acupuncture
Yeah.
can have real physiological effects.
Okay.
Even if we don't fully understand the mechanisms at work.
So perhaps our scientific understanding hasn't quite caught up with ancient wisdom yet.
It's possible,
Yeah.
and I think it's important to approach these ancient texts with a sense of both respect
Yeah.
and critical thinking.
Okay.
We can learn a lot from them, even if we don't take everything literally.
So it's not about choosing between ancient wisdom and modern science. It's about finding ways to, like, bridge the gap
Yes,
and learn from both.
exactly. And that's what makes exploring these ideas so fascinating. It challenges us to think outside the box
Yeah.
and consider different ways of understanding the world
Mm.
and ourselves.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's a good place to take a break.
Okay.
But don't go anywhere, because we're going to dive even deeper into the spiritual pivot in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll explore the text's fascinating insights into the nature of yin and yang themselves and how they shape not just our physical health, but like our very existence.
Sounds good.
Wow, this deep dive has really taken us on a journey. From the cosmos to the intricacies of our organs, we've explored how yin and yang are like woven into the very fabric of our being.
It really is a tapestry of interconnectedness.
And in the last part, we even like touched upon the big question. How does this ancient wisdom, with its focus on energy and meridians, hold up in the light of modern science?
It's a question that sparks debate, I know. It invites us to think critically about all the different ways we understand the world. But beyond the debates, I think there's like a really valuable takeaway here for anyone exploring traditional Chinese medicine.
Oh, what's that?
It's the invitation to see ourselves as part of a larger whole, not just like a collection of isolated parts, but a dynamic system constantly interacting with the environment and the cycles of nature.
Yeah, that's beautifully put. So where do we go from here? We've covered a lot of ground, exploring how yin and yang play out in our bodies and the world around us. But I feel like there's still more to uncover, especially within the spiritual pivot.
You're absolutely right. And the text does something pretty remarkable in its closing passages.
Okay.
It takes us beyond just the specifics of anatomy in the calendar
Mm-hmm.
and invites us to really contemplate the very essence of yin and yang themselves.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
The text concludes with this really simple yet profound statement. Yin and yang have names but no form.
Names but no form. What does that even mean?
Well, it speaks to the kind of elusive nature of these concepts, you know? Yin and yang, they aren't tangible things. You can't see them, you can't touch them.
Right.
They're more like principles, forces, patterns that are constantly in flux, shaping and reshaping the world around us.
So it's less about like identifying specific things as yin or yang.
Right.
It's more about understanding the relationship between those qualities, how they like interact and influence each other.
Exactly. And the text goes on to emphasize the infinite divisibility of yin and yang. It says they could be divided into 10, extended to 100, dispersed into 1,000, and extrapolated into 10,000.
Wow, so they're basically boundless.
Precisely. It speaks to the vastness and complexity of these concepts.
Yeah.
They're not limited to any particular form or expression. They're constantly interacting, transforming, manifesting in countless ways throughout the universe.
It's like this system helps you understand the body, the natural world, but it also reminds you there's always more to discover, always another layer to peel back.
It's a beautiful reminder that true knowledge isn't about just memorizing facts. It's about cultivating an ongoing curiosity, a willingness to embrace the mystery and complexity of existence.
So what does this all mean for you, dear listener? How does this ancient wisdom, with its focus on balance, interconnectedness, and the boundless nature of yin and yang, resonate with your own experiences? Perhaps the next time you feel kind of overwhelmed by the complexities of life, you can take a moment to just breathe. And remember that within you and within the world around you, there's this constant dance of opposing forces striving for harmony. Maybe, just maybe, by understanding these ancient principles, we can learn to navigate our own lives with a little more balance and grace. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine. We hope it sparked your curiosity and inspired you to keep exploring this fascinating world of traditional Chinese medicine